This episode, we're going to talk about dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, which is the most popular name, and it's one of the most powerful hallucinogens known to man. It's capable of producing an intense psychedelic experience when ingested. It's been famously dubbed the spirit molecule, and people have been known to seek the effects of this alkaloid tryptamine in the psychedelic plant medicine Ayahuasca that can be found across Peru, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and Brazil. This ceremonial tea brew, what it does is it delivers a digestive form of DMT. However, now a growing body of evidence from clinical trials shows that human brains can actually manufacture significant amounts of DMT all on their own, indicating that we may be even more intimately tied to the spirit molecule than we previously thought. Science has already pieced together the role of the pineal gland as the master regulator of the body. Working in close partnership with the hypothalamus, it behaves as a bridge between the nervous and the endocrine system. It also works with the limbic system to balance emotions and other rhythms throughout the body. So, long story short, it regulates the entire body. 17th century philosopher Rene Descartes called it the seat of the soul, while popularized metaphysics and spirituality resources called it the third eye. And it's believed to hold vast amounts of mystical potential. According to theosophy, the pineal gland is an important psychophysiological center or chakra and is the source of clairvoyance and intuition. So if there's a bridge between that world of infinite dimensions and the three-dimensional world that we live in, I feel that we could say it's somewhere in the pineal gland. The pineal gland is what allows you to download information from the cosmos. It's like the brain's radio receiver. How is the pineal gland activated? This can be spontaneous, or it can be through meditation, for example. There's an arousal that happens when the energy rushes from the body to the pineal gland. And once the autonomic nervous system switches on and goes into gamma brainwave patterns, the pineal gland contains literal crystals that start to shimmer and produce this awesome high frequency. And when the brain latches onto this certain frequency, the pineal gland will act as a transducer and begin to release upgraded versions of melatonin. Melatonin is produced when we sleep, basically. And they actually measured this. We have actual evidence. And it's not just the melatonin that will release when we're in normal dream state. It's a supercharged version that will cause you to literally chill the fuck out. And then what happens? You're going to make two of the most powerful antioxidants known to man. They're anti-aging, anti-cancer, anti-heart disease, anti-inflammatory, any anti you can think of. And then you're going to make that amazing chemical, dimethyltryptamine, the DMT. And what happens then is a full-on mystical experience where you no longer exist in the time-space continuum. You're moving through times, and then the dimensions start running through you, and you get a glimpse of how huge this whole thing we call existence is. And this opens you up to a whole new universe. And what's going to happen is you're going to care less about your annoying boss or your coworker, about who's popular and who's not, about who's Instagramming their cat or their freaking dog, or, I don't know, their fancy brunch, because you're going to know in that moment what the fuck is up and what we're doing here and what all of the things you used to care about, that they're just distractions or illusions, and they're just distracting you from what you're really capable of. You're going to know, not just know, you're going to experience, you're going to know beyond the shadow of a doubt what this whole game is about. So DMT, produced in the pineal gland, is vibrationally keyed to receive higher frequency vibrations that are directed from the higher mind, the oversoul, or higher planes of existence, to the brain. And what DMT does is produce spiritual visions and profound tapping into the mystery and potential of the self. It's said to cause time dilation, which is a perception of time that's nothing similar to how we perceive it in our ordinary state of consciousness. We perceive linear time, but time is not actually like that. Basically, everything is present right here, right now. And that's what DMT, when it's released in the brain, helps you realize. Some people report time travel, visions of geometric patterns, sacred geometry as they call it, journeys to other realms and encounters with various light beings or other beings inhabiting these realms, and many more mystical realities. But this doesn't just end there. What's going to happen next is that all this information that's captured through the DMT is going to be picked up by the pineal gland as the master regulator, right? And the pineal gland is going to physically dump all this information into the cerebral fluid, into the bloodstream. And what's going to happen is this is going to give it neurochemical and neuroelectrical form. It's basically going to translate into what the physical mind can actually understand and what the body can experience, know. By the way, the neurobiology of psychedelic states and night dreams have overlapping features. Research has also looked at the role of global gamma coherence through peak DMT experiences, and there's clearly a link there, which if you haven't seen our video on the gamma pop, I highly recommend you go back and watch that. It's pretty exciting stuff. So it's also often mentioned that the brain releases large amounts of the compound when we dream and during death. And this is what explains the profound imagery we experience when we sleep, and supposedly when we enter the white light and the tunnel and all of that stuff that people report when they die and they're brought back, for example, all that imagery. The explanation behind that is that DMT has been found to bind to the sigma-1 receptor, this is how it's called, which is found throughout the body. So this receptor plays a key role in protecting cells from dying when oxygen is low. And that's why DMT may indeed be released in large quantities during death in a last gasp attempt to basically keep our cells alive. So how do you produce DMT at will? You open up your third eye. And how do you do that? I'm not going to step into the plant medicine rhetoric. That's up to each individual and their choices. But the more obvious and also probably safer answer is meditation. Like general meditation or whatever type of meditation is beneficial to optimizing the functions of the pineal gland. But if you want some more targeted practices, you might want to try Kundalini yoga, binaural beats for this specific chakra energy center. It's the sixth energy chakra center. That's what it's called the ajna. How are you going to know the third eye is opening? Some signs include a feeling of pressure between the eyebrows, right here, yeah? That's where the pineal gland is located. Increased foresight or an ability to see into the future, as perceived through the construct of her linear space-time, of course. Increased light sensitivity and other senses like smell, taste, and hearing. Those may come online more. Seeing colors of blue or purple when you close your eyes, which happens to me all the time. Being perceptive of vibration and rhythm from your surroundings. That's going to happen more and more if your third eye starts opening. Some people may experience headaches. So it's important to remember, everyone experiences the third eye opening differently. If you want to optimize your pineal gland, you need to decalcify it. Things that calcify the pineal gland and decrease its function and potential are different environmental toxins, for example, that come from food or the environment, or air pollution, pesticides, chlorine, which can be found literally everywhere, including food, preservatives, and it's especially sensitive to fluoride, which is the killer of the third eye energy center. And it's found in tap water and also in most commercial toothpastes. So if you want your third eye to open, get rid of that. It's also suppressed by EMFs, electromagnetic fields, released by mobile phones and other wireless devices. So eventually the pineal gland gets hardened, then calcified, and it eventually shuts down. So if you want to bring your pineal gland back into form, what you need to do is to first ensure that no further calcification takes place, right? That's key. while at the same time you want to reverse the calcification that has already happened. The most important thing you can do is to drink pure water. That's number one. If you have a water filter, make sure it clears out fluoride, because most water filters do not. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. Or you can make sure that you always have spring water available if you have access to it. A diet that's mostly organic and natural with foods free from pesticides and genetic modifications is also important. So go as organic as possible. Another thing you can do is spend time in the sunlight, in direct sunlight every day. Morning light starts the circadian rhythm, which regulates melatonin release in the pineal gland. You can look directly at the sun in the first 5 minutes, I'd say, of sunrise and right before it sets. That's called sun gazing and has awesome benefits. You can look that up. An alternative to third eye opening you can try is Tritaka meditation, which is a practice to open the third eye. You can look that up too. You can practice candle gazing, which is gazing basically at the flame of a candle without blinking for 1 to 3 minutes. And then what you do is you close your eyes and you focus on the after image for several minutes until it disappears. That's a nice practice. When you're doing any type of meditation, it might be very beneficial to use a blindfold, right? Because the darkness kickstarts the production of melatonin. It's also important that you sleep in complete darkness, right? So when darkness starts to fall, this begins the 4-hour melatonin release cycle, as we call it. Artificial light can interfere with this, unsettling serotonin to melatonin production in the pineal gland. So it's better if you don't expose yourself to blue light after sunset, which is basically all types of screens, including TV and all cell phones. On cell phones, there's actually a setting, which is, I think it's called blue light blocking filter, something like this. The iPhone has it. I believe most smartphones have that now. You can also try wearing blue light blocking glasses if you feel like it. It's an orange lens in the evening. That's very beneficial as well. That will also regulate your hormones in general. So it's really, really good. If you're into yoga, inversion postures like headstands and handstands can be very helpful as they increase blood flow to the pineal gland. And lastly, there are supplements you can take, which I'm not going to get into in this video, as this is totally not my area of expertise. But if you're really into opening up your third eye, you might want to research that on your own. Other than that, happy visions. I'm sending you love. May you be happy, peaceful, liberated.